Oh man, why is it every time I get ready to share some good information with my people out here, you call me? I just don't understand it, But I'm gonna have to call you back. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hit you back. No, I ain't got time to chit chat with you. I gotta go ahead and get this information out because my people need this information now. No, not later on. They need it now. All right. Okay, I'll hit you back later. All right. Hey, good evening, folks. I want to drop something on you real quick. I had to come back to you. I shared something with you the other day, and I think it's about time that I go ahead and give you some more nuggets. So, the nugget I'm going to drop on you tonight is the FBI and college basketball. This whole little scandal went down some time ago. And when it went down, there was a number of folks that was called out. And when they were called out, I think it was initially like 10 people that was called out. Now I think it's dropped down to about 9 or so. But when they was called out, it did a little shake up in college basketball world. It shook them up to the point where they decided to reach out and form the Rice Commission. And in forming the Rice Commission, it just simply said, hey, okay, we're going to look at everything that has just happened. We're going to look at how these things happen. And we're going to give you some recommendations on how you should fix these things. A number of recommendations are out there. I've talked about them here on the Parents Go to Parents Network, here on Blog Talk Radio, and at different times. But what I want to drop on you this evening is how this FBI investigation took place. Mainstream media has gotten a hold of it. And I'm listening to the analysts on mainstream media as they talk about it as if it's just an audit. When you identify something that is a thorough investigation, you identify it as an audit, you're telling me that you're not taking it that serious. So, when they decide to investigate it, and you had a number of folks that was called on the carpet, that took it way out of the lines of it being an audit. But something tells me that this is just the tip of the iceberg. But my problem here is, why aren't more of us concerned about this investigation? Why aren't more of us speaking up and speaking out about this investigation? Because at the end of the day, it's going to impact our children's opportunity to play the game and how they play the game and things that they're going to be able to do when playing the game. So when we talk about recorded conversations that have been heard in the courts in New York, recorded conversations, but yet and still, I haven't heard about anybody getting fired or anybody being placed on leave. That's a concern of mine. That is a true concern. And folks, I will hope it would be a concern of yours as well. I know I'm not just the only one out here that's hearing and reading this information. I want to talk about it. I want to put something out here to see what are we going to do as parents and how can we be more proactive as parents. I haven't heard anything about any coaches being fired. So talk to me. Tell me, what's your thoughts on this? Should we wait for the NCAA to finally say, hey, this is the situation. Oh, man. One of my brothers just popped up on here. The Rogers. What's up there, brother? Good to see you. But going back to what I was saying, should we wait for the NCAA to say yes or no? Or how they're going to take action on this? No, if we wait for the NCAA, that's going to be some years from now, folks. That will be many, many, many years from now. But here's the point. If we decide to wait for the NCAA, while we're waiting, games will continue to be played. Continue to be played. Press release, press conferences will still be held. And guess what? Checks will still continue to be cashed. Ain't nobody's check stopping. They ain't stopping no media days. They ain't rescheduled no games or forfeited no games or stopped no games. But many of you may say, well, we need to wait and see what the NCAA is going to say. Well, when you have evidence as clear as a wiretap, and the evidence points straight towards individuals that you can identify as coaches or folks that are associated with an institution, then at some point in time, enough is enough, and we have to say something about it. So why are we going to wait to see what the NCAA has to say? We know how that game is played. We know how that game is played. That game will go on and on and on. I'm going to read some of my notes here and look down and tell you exactly some of the things that I wanted to address while I was here on the air. You know, I hear the words such as value of a commodity. Value of a commodity. And I hear words such as stocks. Well, you know, that tells me something. When I hear words like value of a commodity and I hear words like as stocks, are we talking about some livestock? Are we talking about something out on an auction block? What are we talking about? We can't be talking about my children. We can't be just talking about these athletes out here. If you're going to talk about the athletes, refer to them as athletes or refer to them as children. I would even prefer to you refer to them as young men. But to refer to them as commodities and how much value's in that commodity, and you want to invest in that commodity? You sound like you lining up a horse for Kentucky Derby. You know, when you hear them talking about return on investment, again, what are we talking about? Why are our children being talked about as if they were just sold for the Preakness, or they were just sold to compete in the Kentucky Derby? What can we do? A lot of things we can do. And I think it's time for us to start doing some of these things. Hey, Ash. Long time. Matter of fact, inbox me because I need to get in touch with you. I seen you. Congratulations on your new appointment, and I want to find out more about it. But what can we do? We can either sit and twiddle our thumbs like we have been doing and wait for the NCAA to make a move, or we could take it serious and start addressing the issue that's behind all of this. And that issue being the dirty word of amateurism. Amateurism is what caused all this. Because if the athletes were being paid, they are being played. if the athletes was being paid, or there was some form of compensation, or they were able to generate some type of income for themselves through the branding and marketing and everything else of college sports, then we wouldn't have this conversation. We wouldn't be in this conversation right now, because that word of amateurism would have went out the window. Now, many of you would say, well, they get a scholarship. Well, let me say this about the scholarship. The scholarship doesn't necessarily guarantee a degree. Think about that. The scholarship affords you the opportunity to try to pursue a degree, but it doesn't necessarily give you a degree. It puts you in that direction. So when you talk about a scholarship, yeah, there's some other things that they can possibly get out of it as well. You know, think about the networking opportunities that they can get out of it. Thinking about the marketing and branding opportunities that they can get out. If they learn how to maximize their experience. But oftentimes they're not even taught how to maximize their experience. So they lose out. Hey, Gene. So they lose out. And when they lose out, guess what? They're just there